The Silent Defiance. Commander Maya Chen stood at the observation deck of Sanctuary Base, the last human stronghold buried deep within the icy crust of Europa. Through the reinforced viewport, she watched as the looming shadows of the Ascendancy warships blotted out the stars one by one. The massive alien vessels had been arriving for days, gathering in Jupiter's orbit like predators circling wounded prey. "Status report," she commanded, her voice steady despite the weight pressing down on her chest. Lieutenant Kai Wallace approached, data tablet in hand. His dark eyes reflected the grim calculations that had occupied the command staff for weeks. Final count is in. The Ascendancy fleet numbers 342 capital ships, over 1,000 support vessels. Conservative estimates put their fighting force at 20 million combat units. Maya nodded, processing the numbers. Against them, humanity had a single underground base, 6,000 survivors, and a handful of retrofitted mining vessels that barely qualified as warships. "And the Resonance Project?" she asked. "Dr. Okafor says they need another 48 hours. The calibrations are delicate." Maya's jaw tightened. They didn't have 48 hours. The intelligence they'd gathered suggested the Ascendancy would begin their final assault within 24. The Ascendancy had appeared 3 years ago, emerging from the darkness beyond Neptune, with technology centuries beyond human understanding. Their attack had been swift and methodical. Earth fell within months. Mars followed soon after. The scattered human colonies throughout the solar system were systematically hunted down and exterminated. Only this final outpost remained, hidden beneath Europa's thick ice shell, powered by the heated core that kept the moon's subsurface ocean liquid. Here, the last fragments of humanity had gathered, plotting, planning, hoping against hope for a miracle. "Commander," called Communications Officer Eliza Reyes, "we're receiving a transmission from the Ascendancy flagship." Maya closed her eyes briefly, centering herself. "Put it through." The holographic display flickered to life, revealing the familiar and unsettling visage of the Ascendancy overseer. The alien's translucent skin pulsed with bioluminescent patterns, its 4 eyes arranged in an unsettling diamond pattern across what passed for a face. "Human survivors," the overseer began, its voice a synthetic approximation of human speech. "Your resistance has been noteworthy. Few species have demonstrated such persistence in the face of inevitable extinction. However, your time has ended. Surrender now, and we will allow a small population to exist under our guidance." Maya stepped forward, making sure the alien could see her clearly. "And if we refuse, then Europa will be shattered, and your kind will join the 27 other civilizations we have deemed unworthy of continuation. You have 12 hours to signal your surrender." The transmission cut abruptly, leaving the command center in silence. "They've moved up their timeline," Lieutenant Wallace observed quietly. Maya nodded. "Get me Dr. Okafor. Now." Dr. Adana Okafor's laboratory sprawled across 3 levels of the base, a chaotic maze of equipment, salvaged from research stations across the solar system. In the center stood the heart of the Resonance Project, a towering structure of crystalline spires and pulsing energy conduits. "It's not ready," Dr. Okafor said flatly as Maya entered. The scientist's hands were stained with conductive gel, her hair wild from running her fingers through it in frustration. "The calibration sequences are still unstable. If we activate it now, there's an 86% chance it will simply fail." "And the other 14%? Maya asked. "We might destroy ourselves along with them, or worse." Maya approached the central console, studying the complex diagrams and simulations running across multiple screens. The Resonance Project represented humanity's last hope, a desperate gambit based on the only weakness they'd discovered in the Ascendancy forces. 6 months ago, a research team had noticed that certain frequencies disrupted Ascendancy technology. Further investigation revealed that their entire neural network, the system that connected their vast armada and allowed them to function as a unified force, was vulnerable to specific resonance patterns. The ascendancy has given us 12 hours before they attack, Maya said. Dr. Okafor cursed under her breath. Then we have no choice. We'll have to bypass the final calibration protocols. What do you need? Every quantum processor we have, and I need the transmitters on Jupiter Station reactivated. Maya froze. Jupiter Station was abandoned months ago. We don't even know if it's still intact. Those transmitters are the only ones powerful enough to amplify the resonance signal across the entire fleet. Without them, we might disrupt a few ships, but not enough to matter. Maya considered their options. A mission to Jupiter Station was practically suicide. It would mean navigating through the heart of the Ascendancy fleet. But without it, they were already dead. I'll lead the mission myself, Maya decided. Commander, with all due respect, Lieutenant Wallace began to protest. This isn't up for debate, Lieutenant. I need you here coordinating our defenses. If I don't make it back, you need to be ready to lead our people. As Maya left to prepare for the mission, the weight of what they were attempting settled over her. The Resonance Project wasn't just a defensive measure. It was designed to attack the very foundation of ascendancy consciousness, to disrupt the neural patterns that made them what they were. If it worked, it wouldn't just disable their ships, it would devastate their entire species. Humanity's last act might be one of near genocide. The moral implications were staggering, but after watching Earth burn, after seeing billions slaughtered, Maya found her conscience could bear the weight. 12 hours later, Maya piloted the retrofitted mining vessel Perseverance through the debris field surrounding Jupiter. The massive gas giant loomed before her, its swirling storms dwarfed by the immense Ascendancy mothership that hovered in low orbit. Approaching Jupiter Station, she reported back to Europa. Visual confirmation. The structure appears intact. The abandoned research station drifted silently, its solar arrays still functioning enough to power emergency systems. If they were lucky, the transmitters would still be operational. Multiple Ascendancy patrol vessels detected, warned her navigation system. Intercept course projected in 7 minutes. Maya guided the Perseverance into the station's docking bay, the magnetic clamps engaging with a solid thunk that reverberated through the ship's hull. She sealed her helmet and checked her oxygen levels before venturing into the abandoned station. The corridors were eerily silent, emergency lighting casting long shadows as she made her way to the transmitter control room. Signs of hasty evacuation were everywhere. Personal belongings scattered, half-consumed meals frozen in time. "I've reached the control room," she reported, beginning transmitter activation sequence. Her fingers flew across the console, inputting the complex activation codes Dr. Okafor had provided. Slowly, the massive array began to power up, drawing energy from the station's reserves. "Patrol vessels approaching your position," came Lieutenant Wallace's tense voice over the comms. "You have less than 3 minutes, Commander." Maya worked faster, redirecting power, bypassing damaged systems. The transmitters needed to be precisely aligned with the resonance generators on Europa. 1 degree off, and the entire plan would fail. "Transmitters at 60% power," she reported. "Alignment complete. Standing by 4. A violent explosion rocked the station. Warning lights flashed as atmosphere vented from multiple breaches. "They found me," Maya reported, her voice calm despite the chaos. "Transmitters at 85% power. Almost there." Through the viewport, she could see Ascendancy boarding craft attaching to the station. The aliens would be inside within minutes. "Transmitters at full power," she finally called out. "Uplink established with Europa base. You're good to go, Dr. Okafor." Receiving the signal came the scientist's voice, initiating the resonance cascade in 3, 2, 1. Maya braced herself, unsure what to expect. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then she felt it, a subtle vibration that seemed to pass through her very bones, a sound at the very edge of human hearing. She watched as the approaching Ascendancy vessels suddenly faltered, their smooth movements becoming erratic. "It's working," she breathed. The patrol ship's air. Her transmission cut off as the station shuddered violently. The Ascendancy mothership had noticed the disturbance and was now targeting Jupiter Station directly. "Commander Chen, get out of there now." Lieutenant Wallace's voice crackled through the failing comm system. Maya ran for the Perseverance, the station breaking apart around her. As she reached the docking bay, a final explosion tore through the structure, sending her tumbling into space. The last thing she saw before losing consciousness was the bizarre spectacle of Ascendancy ships firing upon each other, their coordinated attack formation dissolving into chaos. Back on Europa, Dr. Okafor watched the resonance pattern spread through the Ascendancy fleet like a virus, ship after ship falling into disarray. It was working better than they had dared hope. But at what cost? Commander Chen's signal had gone dead, and the Perseverance was nowhere to be found on their sensors. As humanity held its breath, waiting to see if their desperate gambit would save them or merely postpone the inevitable, the Ascendancy's final message echoed through their communication systems. "What have you done? This cannot be undone. You will regret this forever." But for the first time in 3 years, humanity dared to hope that they would live long enough to have regrets at all. The reckoning. Europa shuddered as another Ascendancy bombardment struck the ice above Sanctuary Base. Massive chunks of frozen water crashed into the ocean below, sending tsunami-like waves against the reinforced barriers that protected the human settlement. Lieutenant Kai Wallace braced himself against a console as the lights flickered momentarily. "Status of the Resonance Project," he demanded. Dr. Okafor's face appeared on the main screen, streaked with sweat and grime. "The initial wave was successful. We've disrupted approximately 30% of their fleet, but they're adapting faster than we anticipated. The remaining ships have modified their neural interfaces to resist our frequencies." It had been 6 hours since Commander Chen's mission to Jupiter Station. 6 hours of desperate hope, followed by the crushing realization that they had wounded the beast, but not killed it. The Ascendancy had responded with fury, focusing all their remaining firepower on Europa. "Any word from the commander?" Dr. Okafor asked quietly. Wallace shook his head. Search teams found debris from Jupiter Station, but no sign of the Perseverance or Commander Chen. A heavy silence fell between them. Maya Chen had been more than their leader. She had been the embodiment of humanity's resilience, the driving force behind their continued survival. Without her, "Sir," called Communications Officer Reyes, "we're picking up a transmission on an emergency channel." It's the commander." Wallace rushed to her station. "Put it through." The audio crackled with static, but Maya's voice came through, weak but unmistakable. "Damaged but operational. Discovered something. Their mothership. Vulnerable point. We're losing her," Reyes said, frantically working to boost the signal. "Commander, this is Wallace. What did you find? Where are you?" "Drifting near Ganymede's shadow. Their ships are communicating differently now. Centralized control. If we modify the resonance pattern to target." The transmission cut out completely. "Can we get it back?" Wallace demanded. Reyes shook her head. "The signal's gone, sir, but I've triangulated her position. She's in a debris field on the far side of Ganymede." Wallace made his decision instantly. "Prepare a rescue shuttle. And get Dr. Okafor to analyze that partial transmission. Whatever the commander found might be our last chance." Maya Chen drifted in and out of consciousness as the damaged Perseverance tumbled slowly through space. Her environment suit had automatically sealed several breaches, applying medical foam to the wounds beneath. She was alive, but for how long remained uncertain. Through the cracked viewport, she could see the massive form of the Ascendancy mothership. During her desperate escape from Jupiter Station, she had noticed something extraordinary. The resonance wave had affected the mothership differently. While the smaller vessels had fallen into disarray, the mothership had seemed to absorb the frequencies, channeling them somehow. In her semi-lucid state, Maya had an epiphany. The mothership wasn't just the Ascendancy's command center. It was a focal point, a nexus for their collective consciousness, if they could modify the Resonance Project to target that specific node. The Perseverance's systems beeped weakly, alerting her to an approaching vessel. Friend or foe, she couldn't tell. Her communications array was damaged beyond repair, her earlier message sent through a jury-rigged emergency beacon that had promptly failed afterward. As darkness crept into the edges of her vision, Maya recorded a final message in the ship's log, detailing her observations and theory. Whether anyone would ever find it remained to be seen. Back on Europa, Dr. Okafor worked feverishly to recalibrate the Resonance Project based on the fragments of information from Commander Chen's transmission. If I'm understanding correctly, she explained to Wallace, the Ascendancy isn't just a collective of individual aliens. They're closer to a single entity spread across multiple vessels. The mothership isn't just their biggest weapon, it's the core of their distributed consciousness. And that's why our initial attack only partially succeeded, Wallace realized. We disrupted the outer network, but not the central node. Exactly. But if we modify the resonance pattern to specifically target the frequency the mothership is using to maintain control, we could take down the entire fleet at once. Wallace finished. Do it. Dr. Okafor hesitated. There's something else you should know. The power requirements for this targeted approach are enormous. We'll need to channel energy from our core reactor, which powers our life support systems, Wallace said grimly. Yes, if this doesn't work, we'll be defenseless. Our barriers will fail, our oxygen generation will stop. We'll have hours at most before. Wallace looked around at the faces of the crew, at the civilians in the distant hallways visible through the command center's windows. The last remnants of humanity, looking to him for leadership in Commander Chen's absence. How long until the Ascendancy breaks through our defenses if we do nothing? He asked. At the current rate of bombardment, 12 hours, maybe less. Wallace nodded. Then we have no choice. Prepare the modified resonance wave. The rescue shuttle approached the coordinates where Commander Chen's signal had originated. Through the debris field, they spotted the tumbling form of the Perseverance. Visual contact established. The pilot reported to Europa base, attempting docking procedures now. Inside the damaged vessel, they found Maya Chen barely alive, her environment suit's oxygen nearly depleted. As medics rushed to stabilize her, the mission commander discovered the ship's log with her final recorded message. Lieutenant Wallace, we've recovered the commander and a data package. Transmitting to you now. Back on Europa, Wallace reviewed Maya's findings with growing excitement. Her observations confirmed Dr. Okafor's theory and provided crucial details about the mothership's defenses and vulnerabilities. This is it, he told Dr. Okafor. This is how we win. The scientist nodded, her fingers already flying across the controls, incorporating the new data into their resonance calculations. Power diversion beginning now. All non-essential systems shutting down. Throughout Sanctuary Base, lights dimmed as power was rerouted to the Resonance Project. Temperature controls faltered, leaving civilians huddling together for warmth. But no one complained. Everyone understood what was at stake. Resonance generators at maximum capacity, Dr. Okafor reported. Modified frequency pattern locked in, targeting the Ascendancy mothership. Wallace took a deep breath. Initiate. The modified resonance wave erupted from Europa's transmitters, focused like a laser on the Ascendancy mothership. Initially, there seemed to be no effect. The bombardment continued, ice chunks raining down on the barriers protecting Sanctuary Base. It's not working, someone whispered. Then suddenly, the impacts stopped. On their monitoring screens, they watched in astonishment as the Ascendancy fleet froze in position. A strange energy pattern rippled across the mothership, spreading outward to every connected vessel. What's happening? Wallace demanded. Dr. Okafor studied the readings in amazement. The mothership is amplifying our signal. It's broadcasting our resonance pattern to every ship in the fleet. They've become a conductor for their own destruction. One by one, Ascendancy vessels began to power down, their weapon systems going offline, their engines failing. The mothership itself seemed to pulse with energy before a series of explosions rippled across its surface. "Is it over?" Wallace asked cautiously. Before Dr. Okafor could answer, every communication channel suddenly burst open with a cacophony of alien voices, millions of individual ascendancy consciences crying out in confusion and fear as their collective mind shattered. "What have you done to us?" they cried. "We are broken, separated, alone." The unified ascendancy consciousness had been fractured, each individual alien now experiencing independence for the first time. Their terror was palpable, transmitted across every frequency. "Power is being restored to base systems," reported an engineer. "The drain from the Resonance Project is decreasing." Wallace watched the screens as the Ascendancy fleet drifted aimlessly, no longer a coordinated force, but a scattered collection of confused individuals. "Are they still a threat?" "I don't think so," Dr. Okafor said slowly. "Their entire society was built around their collective consciousness. Without it, they don't even know how to operate their own ships independently." 3 days later, Commander Maya Chen awoke in the medical bay. Lieutenant Wallace was at her side immediately, updating her on everything that had transpired. "We've received transmissions from hidden human enclaves throughout the solar system," he told her. "When the Ascendancy fleet went dormant, they began to emerge. There are more of us left than we thought, Commander." Maya absorbed this news with quiet emotion. "And the Ascendancy? Still in disarray. Some ships have managed basic operations and have retreated to the outer system. Others remain adrift. They've been sending messages." "What kind of messages?" Wallace handed her a tablet. On it was a transmission recorded from an Ascendancy vessel. "For generations, we existed as one mind, conquering and absorbing. We believed unity was strength, that your individualism was weakness. We were wrong. In separating us, you have not destroyed us. You have transformed us. Some of us wish to learn this new way of being. Others crave vengeance. We are no longer one voice, one decision. You have given us choice, and with it, chaos. You were right, humans. We will regret this forever, but perhaps not in the way we meant." Maya set down the tablet, her expression thoughtful. "We didn't just save humanity," she said quietly. "We fundamentally changed an entire species. For better or worse," Wallace agreed. "Arrange a meeting with their representatives, the ones who want to talk. It's time we established new terms." As Maya Chen looked out through the medical bay window at Europa's ice-covered surface, she reflected on humanity's journey. They had faced extinction and emerged not just survivors, but victors. They had not merely defeated their enemy, but transformed them. The final message of humanity had not been one of surrender, but of defiance. And now, as the scattered remnants of Earth's children prepared to rebuild, they carried with them a new understanding of their own strength, not just their technology or their weapons, but their fundamental nature as individuals united by choice rather than compulsion. The stars no longer seemed like harbingers of doom, but beacons of possibility. Humanity had earned its place among them, not through conquest, but through perseverance. And whatever came next, they would face it together, stronger for having been tested, wiser for having nearly been lost. In the vastness of space, humanity's final broadcast had become their first declaration to the galaxy: "Underestimate us at your peril.